Alford. Representative Hurst. Representative Jackson.
Here.
Representative Bolton.
Here.
Representative Gracie. Representative Easterbrook. Representative Fiddler.
Here.
Representative Fincher.
Here.
Representative Hammett.
Here.
Representative Ingram.
Here.
Representative McCampbell. Representative Oliver.
Here.
Representative Smith.
Here.
Representative Standridge. Representative Travis.
Here.
You have a forum.
Thank you. You call the first bill, please.
House Bill 149.
Our only bill, excuse me. And we're gonna talk about the sub rather than going through the original and then talk about the sub. And if you would tell them how we got here, this today.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members. This bill has been a lot of collaborative effort, a lot of feedback from a lot of different groups throughout the state. We've worked very closely with the Alabama Federation of Farmers, amongst many others, to reach language that is agreeable. So there's been a lot of input, but we're happy where we're at. I'm glad to be here without any sort of opposition today.
Okay, tell us what your sub is.
Yeah, so the sub, some of the main things that it does, the initial draft, it refers to adequate food, adequate shelter, adequate water. The sub just defines what adequate is. Obviously, that's a broad term, so that's one of the main things. It also adds in, we didn't have any sort of the enforcement provisions in there. The existing animal cruelty law lays out how to go about enforcing whatever's on the books, so we made sure that that language is in there, and then just cleaned up again some of the other language to make it that it's not overly specific. We certainly want there to be some discretion, but specific and clear enough that people know what they're expected of them.
Sort of summarize now what the bill does with this.
Yeah, so right now there's an existing animal cruelty law, but it's very broad in general. So this lays out more specifically if someone is going to tether up a dog outside, it just lays out the requirements for the tether, what that dog should have access to as far as water, food, and shelter. And then it also has some exceptions. We certainly didn't want to, this was not meant at all to include working dogs or dogs in agriculture. So we just made sure there are exceptions. This deals with domestic dogs that people have, and big picture. Obviously, we deal with a lot of very important human issues here at the legislature, but I've heard from constituents, certainly in my district, with people all over the state, just horrific, horrifying situations of inhumane treatment, and anyone with a soft spot for animals. This is just a way to make sure that there's more specific, more humane ways of tethering them up outside.
Okay, and what we would like to do is get the sub on the floor if there's an adoption motion.
I'll second.
Second, President. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Alrighty, we have the sub now. Y'all want to ask?
I like the question.
Okay.
Just in your explanation there, it's a little bit confusing. I think I know the animals and the situations you're really trying to target, which you're to be commended on that. But there are also farm dogs that could easily be abused the same way. Do you, in your explanation, you sounded as though you excluded that?
Yeah, so there's an exception, and let's see, this is on the substitute, starting to line 97 or where the exceptions are, and then
97 of what?
of the
Page 4.
and that's right, if you actually go down to line 138, that's where we talk about how dogs that are used for agricultural or working purposes are exempt, and that was to make sure that we have a bill that there can be enough broad support for. So we wanted to start at least with domestic dogs, and that's where there was consensus to focus on that. Doesn't mean that there aren't inhumane conditions at other times for working dogs, but yes, it still just focuses on domestic ones that are homeless pets.
Okay, just a domestic, they're all domesticated. So I just wonder if that's a little bit too general term to use.
Mr. Chairman, can I help Representative?
Yeah, please do that, Ed.
Is you look on down in the language in there, on the next page,
Yeah, tell me what page.
it's on page 6, you're looking at line 143, 142. I think that does a pretty good job. I think that's what you're getting at, are there any protections for these other dogs? I think that gives you what you're looking for. You know, tethered for a reasonable amount of time with respect to the weather, walking a dog on a leash, et cetera. And of course, where it talks about dogs that are used for hunting or retrieving, et cetera.
Working, like cattle dogs working, then you're gonna tie it to the fence, change the fence
Right.
while you're working cows, and those are exempt. Okay, so we're talking about those situations rather than.
So the dogs, it's not that they're not protected, it's that they have exceptions. You said, not that I want to explain
No,
the
that's right.
bill.
And a lot of the training of obedience, they
Oh, yeah.
use pink collars and things like that. So we made some, rather than the permanently,
Yeah, I was just concerned about
not allowed, then it's on a temporary basis.
I mean, when you start talking about domesticated, they're all domesticated.
Yeah, they're not wild,
They're not feral, they're not feral anyway.
Fiddler?
Yeah, I had a question, just let me. Now back to me, sorry.
All right.
Guys, I wanna commend the gentleman for bringing this bill. I didn't see anywhere in this bill where you have to have a air conditioner shed or heated facility for the animal, and that is wonderful. I am a humanitarian, I have a pet. And I feel that the person who owns a dog, they should have some feelings for their animal to protect and keep them, have them in a safe place where they can survive and be comfortable. And so I applaud that. And I know you gotta amend that.
You know, we've had that deal before, and some of those things
Well, yeah.
just didn't make sense. Senator Fiddler?
What I'm thinking is if we have this one of these situations where a dog is chained up, where we've seen these pictures, these horrible pictures, how, there's like no penalties in this, so how, would that go back to the act that has the penalties? What would go?
Here is, so the, and on the substitute, so line 150, the person who violates the section shall be guilty of a class A misdemeanor. And that's exactly what the existing animal cruelty law is. And what this does, and it's similar to the existing cruelty law, is that it gives the officer the ability to either take the dog or instruct the owner to improve the conditions. So the hope is that that will be done to address the situation. The goal is not to punish people. The goal is to make sure that the dog is treated the right way.
Any other questions for, okay?
I had a quick question or two. You said adequate was defined, and I can't find where it's defined. Could you give adequate water and adequate food is defined out?
Sure, and it's also it would be page 2 of the substitute. We're going to have to put adequate food, food that is sufficient in amount and is appropriate for the particular type of dog to prevent starvation or significant risks to the dog's health from lack of food. Adequate water that is sufficient in amount and is appropriate for the particular type of dog to prevent dehydration or significant risks to the dog's health from lack of water. And then adequate shelter, a structure that provides the dog with protections from inclement weather and is of dimension that allows the dog to stand, lie, or turn around in there.
Okay, thank you. And I haven't looked at the sub. I think I was looking at the original.
It's in the pack.
I have a quick, yeah, I hadn't had a chance to look over it. There is, on page 4 of the original bill, subject 4, and down near the bottom of page 4, it says subject a dog actively engaged in conduct that is directly related to the business of shepherding or herding livestock. That made sense, but then it says, or cultivating agricultural products. And I was wondering what y'all had in mind as a dog that cultivated agricultural products. And that may have been dropped out of the sub.
No, it's still in there. I mean, the language in there says shepherding or herding livestock, cultivating agricultural products. So if there's a working dog, and certainly farmers can be more specific on this, but a dog is maybe used to sniff out certain products or to help gather them up. The dog that's working specifically under those purposes.
I was just trying to see what that referred to, because I couldn't think of
So
a case where a dog would help raise agriculture.
Labrador retrieving squash, that would be a working dog.
A herding cats.
Thank you, Representative.
Okay, Steve.
Tell me this, where it's in the bill, that does it in the, you go up to a place and you feel like the dog is not being properly handled or taken care of, do you, by any chance, say, relate to the situation, or immediately we're gonna do whatever we're gonna do?
You, as if an officer or animal control officer responds. So they have a few options. They can either immediately seize the dog, they can order the owner to improve the conditions. So those are the two options, or they can charge someone, which rarely happens, but they could charge someone for being in violation of this law.
In other words, they got the time, if they got the capability of creating or correcting the problem.
Exactly.
Okay.
I know I read it somewhere that you can't have it, and it might have been in the first bill, but that you can't chain up or tether them up more than 3 hours. Is that right?
We don't have any specific time in here. This is just for a reasonable amount of time.
Okay, well, it might have been in the other bill that I had.
Reasonable and temporary.
So that's defined.
Okay, we do have an amendment. Tell us what the amendment is.
Sure. So this just a technical amendment. The part and the substitute that lays out the enforcement authority, we just left out, or LSA left out a portion that says that that an officer can go ahead and enforce that, and what the options are for the officer. That's from the existing animal cruelty law, so it just includes the citation to that existing law, and then the second part, it accidentally said dogs or cats in a few parts, so we just took out cats because this only deals with tethering of dogs.
Enforcement, any law is only good as the county or municipality is willing to enforce it, so hopefully they will.
Okay, let me go back to something on page 1 on said remove a dog from its present location. Okay, so you can remove the dog, and then you can come back and check and find out that they have proper accommodation, and they can retrieve the dog or the cat. And I'm for you. I've got a little shit who's 15 years old, and I hurt somebody. I understand perfectly.
Okay. Is there a motion to
Move to adopt the amendment.
I'll second the adoption of the amendment.
Any questions on the amendment?
Move to give the bill a favorable report as amended.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Thomas. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. You got a favorable?
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
And we'll stand adjourned. It's on the bill.
Thank you.
All right.
We got a budget tomorrow.
You gotta save your energy, huh?